Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Evening News for today, Thursday, January 6, 2021. I am Jemima Holmes. Thank you for tuning in. Now let's take a look at some of the lead stories tonight. Speaker should act swiftly on punishment for opposition MPs, says TEIXEIRA. 6-year-old girl and mother die after house collapses at BONASIKA. Doctor who was suspended for sexual harassment is main suspect in GPHC arson. Nothing is being done, Georgetown Mayor LAMBASTES City Engineering Department, and infected persons urged to stay isolated as 967 new COVID cases recorded in one day. Now for the news in detail. Governance and Parliamentary Affairs Minister TEIXEIRA has called on Speaker of the National Assembly, Manzoor Nadir, to act swiftly on how he intends to sanction APNU AFC members of Parliament over their behavior in the House last month. Here is our lead story tonight.
But I would sincerely believe that the Speaker has to move swiftly on this. The sooner the better. And the Speaker, I think, has a tremendous responsibility because it is very clear that they had no respect for him as Speaker, no respect for the authority of him as Speaker, nor of the Parliament at all.
Yeah.
That these are extremely serious things that happen that cannot go unpunished. If they don't, and if the punishment is not serious enough, then Parliament will become just chaotic over and over again.
That was Parliamentary Affairs Minister TEIXEIRA during a telephone interview with the Evening News, in which she outlined the importance of the Speaker punishing the opposition members of Parliament who had protested the passage of the Natural Resources Fund Bill in the National Assembly last Wednesday. The protest had escalated into a violent confrontation between the opposition members and Parliament staff after one of the coalition MPs stole the Parliament mace from in front of the Speaker. Speaker Manzoor Nadir has already indicated that the opposition MPs would be punished for their attack on the symbolic mace. But when contacted on Thursday, Nadir would not confirm to this newscast whether a decision was made on what form of punishment will be meted out to the coalition members. However, the Evening News understands that the Speaker is examining precedents in other parliaments in arriving at a decision. But Minister TEIXEIRA has indicated that the Speaker also has options from Guyana's parliament that he can consider, including the 2003 incident involving then PNCR opposition members who were sent to the Privileges Committee, and even more recent incidents involving PPP members.
Then we have in 2017, where you may recall in the middle of the budget debate, we were questioning the increase in salaries and the figures being presented by the Minister of Finance, and there was a raucous, etc. The next sitting after that, the Speaker called on Amna Ali to bring a motion suspending Bishop Edghill as a member of the opposition from the House for, I think it was 20 days. That was implemented, so he was suspended and could not come into the precincts of Parliament for any committee meeting or sitting, and could not receive salary, benefits, etc. for that period. So those kind of options are open to the Speaker. There may be other options based on before that, where a member of Parliament in 1991, Bashir, was expelled.
Yeah.
The Speaker has a number of options open to him, but what is very important to underline is that I don't believe that this should go, should just go with no serious consequences.
Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manikchand.
A 6-year-old girl and her mother are now dead after being pinned under their house, which collapsed at Bonasika Creek, Essequibo River. Dead are 35-year-old Simati Chandra and her daughter Christine Sugdio. Police said the mother of 3 and her 6-year-old daughter were under the house feeding puppies when the house collapsed at around 16 hours on Wednesday. The woman's husband, Tulsi Ram, had left home a few hours prior to head to another location to burn bushes, leaving leaving his wife and children at home. Shortly after, he received information from a neighbor that the house had collapsed. As a result, he hurried home and found his wife and daughter pinned beneath the ruins. With assistance from villagers, the bodies were removed and transported via boat to the Parika Hubu Stelling. The bodies were further transported to Leonora Cottage Hospital, where they were pronounced dead on arrival by a doctor on duty. The bodies were then escorted to Ezekiel Funeral Home, where they await a post-mortem. We now tell you that police are investigating the circumstances surrounding the death of a 26-year-old man whose body was found in his bed at Circuitville, Timeri, East Bank, Demerara. He has been identified as Ron Lonk. The scene was visited at about 13:30 hours on Wednesday by ranks of the Timeri police station. Reports are that the victim lived alone in a small shack. According to the man's father, his son had suffered from epilepsy and was last seen alive on Monday. On the date and time mentioned, a man was passing the area and observed the door to Long's home ajar. He stopped to check on the man since he had not seen him for several days. As he approached the building, he smelt a foul odor emanating from the house. Upon investigating, he discovered the bloated body of the man lying on his bed in a state of decomposition. He immediately contacted the police, who subsequently responded. There were no signs of breakage or forced entry. There were also no signs of struggle or marks of violence seen on the body. A post-mortem will be conducted. Meanwhile, the Guyana Fire Service responded to a fire at around 3:08 hours today, which erupted at a house at Lot 91 Prim Niranjati, Prashad Nagar, Georgetown. Water tenders from the Central, Alberton, and Campbellville fire stations responded to the report. The structure involved was a 2-story wooden and concrete building, which was unoccupied at the time of the fire. As a result of the fire, the entire building and its contents were destroyed. Additionally, 2 other buildings located at Lot 90 and 92 of the same address were also affected by the fire and suffered damage to their PVC guttering, roof, and AC units due to radiated heat from the building. Both buildings were unoccupied at the time of the fire. Investigations are ongoing to determine what caused the inferno. Fano Manichan joins us now to report that the Ministry of Legal Affairs has a packed legislative agenda for 2022 with the aim of building modern legal infrastructure to facilitate Guyana's development transformation. Among the areas to be reformed is the public sector by making transactions online-based.
Online in the public sector. Banking is already being done online in the private sector. We need to transact business in the public sector online. We need to make payments possible online. That requires an overhaul of the accounting infrastructure in the country.
Another area on the agenda is putting in place the legislation to prepare Guyana to produce and package agricultural products. According to NANLAL, there are also a series of bills that will be presented to the National Assembly this year.
We have a bill, for example, that will come out soon and that ought to address the discrepancies that one witnesses in relation to the grant and or refusal of bail. There are also another set of series of legislation that will come in the health sector. We are working on a new Public Health Act, a new Mental Health Act, a new Suicide Act, a new Domestic Violence Act, a new Sexual Offences, a revamp of the Sexual Offences Act. A sexual harassment bill is also being worked on.
Additionally, government will also be introducing a condominium bill sometime this year. The Legal Affairs Minister went on to reassure that constitutional and electoral reforms will also be dealt with this year.
It's a manifesto promise of the People's Progressive Party that we will engage in constitutional reform. The consultation and the work will begin this year. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Constitutional Reform will be the vehicle through which we will work to achieve that objective. We have had meetings already last year, but unfortunately with COVID and with so many other things, we did not get to accomplish much. Hopefully this year, just after the budget is read and passed, we will have the constitutional reform agenda kicking in, and we can begin the process of constitutional reform. 2022 will also see the completion of the statutory reforms that we are pursuing in the election sector.
In November 2021, government released proposed amendments to the Representation of the People Act (ROPA) for public consultation and feedback in the first phase of the electoral reform process. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchand.
A doctor who was suspended following a report of sexual harassment is the main suspect in the arson committed at the Georgetown Public Hospital's echocardiology laboratory on New Year's Day. Find out more in this Bisham Mohammed report.
Crime Chief Wendell Blanham has confirmed that a doctor who is attached to the Georgetown Public Hospital has been arrested and questioned in relation to the fire which erupted at the institution's echocardiology laboratory on January 1. The doctor in question was sent on leave on December 31, 2021 following a complaint of sexual assault made by a female worker. The doctor, who was arrested and questioned on Tuesday, has since been released on bail as investigations continue. The Guyana Fire Service has already pronounced that the inferno at the Georgetown Public Hospital was an act of arson. The Evening News understands that a review of the security footage shows the doctor in the hospital's compound moments before the fire. He was reportedly seen acting in a suspicious manner and, when questioned, gave conflicting reports regarding his purpose at the institution. Over $20 million in equipment were damaged in the blaze. According to the Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony, the destruction of the equipment will compromise the institution's cardiac program. The Health Minister has already cautioned that disruptions to the services offered at the echocardiology laboratory can last for months as authorities seek to procure new equipment. At the time of the fire, there were at least 11 patients in the vicinity, 7 in the cardiac intensive care unit and 4 in the other ICU. They were all evacuated to safety. Bisham Mohammed, The Evening News.
Coming up, Geeta Chandan Edman is new PNC General Secretary and 4 new COVID deaths recorded, 6 in ICU. Do stay with us. More news ahead.
Masi is by your side as we continue the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. In collaboration with OneCart, you can now get your groceries delivered or you can pick up curbside. Call, email or WhatsApp your order to us. This service is available at both Providence and Turkine locations. Delivery and pickup between 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The fee is based on location. Orders must be paid in cash and placed 24 hours in advance. Special conditions apply. Remember to always protect yourself and those around you by wearing your masks. Also, don't forget to wash your hands and maintain a distance of 6 feet at all times around persons. Masi Stores. Our family serving your family.
Planning a cleanup? We can help. Sevon's Waste Management skip bins can be provided for home renovation projects, yard cleanups, or construction sites. It's simple. Step 1, just pick up the phone and give us a call. Step 2, we deliver the skip bin size of your choice. Step 3, load the skip with all of your junk. And finally, step 4, we take it all away. It's that simple. Bins are also available in various sizes, so there's no job that's too big or too small. Call Sevon's Waste Management today at 218-1455 or 218-11.
Welcome back. You're watching the Evening News. Leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, has appointed Geeta Chandan Edman to serve as the General Secretary of the party. The appointment takes effect from January 3, 2022. Chandan Edman is a member of Parliament and a lawyer by profession. The PNC said she possesses management skills and good human relations skills that make her suitable to be General Secretary of the party. The PNCR also said it has confidence in her abilities and will work with her as she strengthens and reorganizes the administration of the party. We now tell you the Georgetown Mayor Ubraj Narain has expressed frustration and disappointment with the work or lack thereof of the City Engineering Department, noting that the workers are failing to execute their duties. Amar Prasad reports.
During a press conference on Wednesday, Georgetown Mayor Ubraj Narain raised several concerns he had with the functioning of the city's engineering department headed by Colburn Venture. In fact, he revealed that there is currently a motion before the council to terminate the services of Venture over his poor performance over the years. According to Mayor Narain, the department had failed to diligently execute its duties over the years.
I cannot see why Mr. Venture will go to the public and say that he couldn't achieve much of 2021 when he didn't achieve 2019 and 2020, right? What proposal? We have if you leave here now and you go down to Stone Depot, there's a brand new excavator, mini excavator. Mr. Venture said he need of badly. We bought that new excavator, $14 million Guyana. It's sit in Stone Depot. When we ask why it's not being utilized, next thing you will know, the engineer will say to us, oh, the trailer ought to move this excavator, needs some kind of wood. How you put the cart before the horse?
The mayor alleged that on countless occasions, he would visit the department to find the workers simply doing nothing.
If you go right now, you will find your workers playing cards and dominoes. Many times I turn up there, they're doing that. I complain many times, nothing is being done. I can tell you that there's material, and you go down to the city engineer building at the side, when you go down, look, see where they pack the material in the sun and the rain. There's a lot of wood packed there. It packed there. I don't know when the work will start.
He also alleged that works which should take weeks and days to complete usually takes much longer, a delay which he deemed as unnecessary.
The Dorothy Bailey Health Center on South Road was given a grant by an organization, I believe it's 1.8, to be spent to paint that building. To date, we don't know the status of that building. All I am aware of, that some window or windows was put on. The money is there, but you have to ask whether the requisition was sent down. We made a decision at the council to mark the vendor spot. Mr. Venture never object. Marking of the spot. The check was prepared twice. The paint was bought, it's sitting in the stores. Work not start yet.
The mayor even made mention of the city's abattoir that has been down for the past 2 years. According to him, the department should have ensured that the facility was functioning by now, but it is nowhere close to achieving that. According to reports in the media, Venture claimed that he is unable to complete several works around the city because his department is understaffed. But Mayor Narain argued that he will not approve the hiring of more workers.
If you claim that you're understaffed of building inspectors, the current building inspectors, the engineer department has, what they're doing. Tell us what they're doing. Let him tell us why people still get these issues with plan in the same district these officers have been assigned to. You shouldn't. So if I give you more, I will just flood the Treasury Department to pay more workers without any services.
For the evening news, Amar Prasad.
Vanu Manichan joins us now to report that with concerns mounting over government's decision to reopen schools for classroom learning amid a surge in COVID-19 across the country, President Dr. Irfan Ali has argued that Guyana cannot continue to keep schools closed. Here are the details.
During an emergency press briefing on Wednesday to update the country on the rapid rise of COVID-19 cases over the past 2 weeks, President Dr. Irfan Ali pointed to data emanating from countries around the world which have kept their education system open despite this new surge of infections caused by the Omicron variant.
We have seen all the data so far, and most countries, almost all the countries, are saying we cannot close the schools. We cannot close the education system. They're keeping the schools open. They're doing the testing. They're taking the precautions. They're encouraging the wearing of masks.
The president's statement comes on the heels of criticisms, including from the PNU-AFC opposition. In fact, during a press conference on Thursday, opposition member of parliament, Dr. Nicolette Henry, expressed disappointment over what she described as the unorganized reopening of schools in Guyana.
Yes, UNICEF would have indicated that it would be in the best interest in order to reduce learning loss to have schools reopen, but they did not stop there. They also pointed out that in order for schools to be safe, there are certain measures that must be put in place, which, as far as I'm aware, they have not been put in place. And so I think that there is where we have to disconnect. There is where our concern, particularly at the level of the coalition lines.
Education Minister Priyamanik Chan had previously explained that children were missing out on valuable learning time with the use of virtual or rotational classes. As such, schools across the country were reopened on Monday for various levels of children. But during Wednesday's emergency briefing, President Ali disclosed that in addition to ensuring the necessary COVID protocols are being observed in schools, such as the wearing of masks and social distancing, his government has even ensured another layer of protection for students with the procurement of Pfizer vaccines for the 12 to 17 age cohort.
We brought in the vaccines for children 12 to 17. We were pushing a hard education to parents to have them vaccinated.
Recent figures show that since the administration of COVID shots to students in September 2021, some 30,701 or 42.1% of the adolescent population has received a first dose, while 21,906 or 30% are fully vaccinated. But according to Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony during his COVID update on Thursday, the uptake amongst this age cohort is slow. Reporting for the Evening News, Vanu Manikchand.
Staying true to predictions made by Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, the country has recorded almost 1,000 new cases of the novel coronavirus in one day. In the Samar Prasad report, the Health Minister is pleading with infected persons to remain in isolation until their bodies are free of the virus. Here's more.
Guyana recorded 788 new cases on Wednesday and 485 new cases on Tuesday. Within the last 24 hours, it recorded 967 new infections, taking the total number of active cases to 3,481. Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony is pleading with persons who tested positive to adhere with the protocols of isolation.
All these people who have tested positive, we are asking them to stay in isolation because there are people who have tested positive and sometimes they still walk around the place, which means that they would be in their infectious period and they would be the persons who would be spreading it to others. So if you have been diagnosed as being positive, then you should stay home and be in isolation so as to prevent or reduce the spread of Omicron. If people don't behave responsibly, we are going to see more cases. So I'm asking all these persons, these 3,481 persons that currently have active COVID, that they remain in isolation and follow the protocol that has been established.
According to the health minister, most of the persons currently infected with the virus are displaying mild symptoms or are asymptomatic. Meanwhile, Dr. Anthony explained that there is currently a flu which has been circulating, symptoms of which can be confused with that of the Omicron variant.
First of all, it might be coincidental that we're now seeing more cases among children and maybe teachers with fever and these flu-like symptoms. There's also a flu that is going around, and we have to differentiate between what might be flu and what might be Omicron or the coronavirus. So the medical personnel in every region, they are capable of making those diagnoses, And in the case of Omicron, we have tests that we can do to confirm whether or not if we suspect that it's Omicron infection. So the healthcare staff in the various regions would be able to do this. So if there's any child or teacher or any member of the public for that matter who feel that they have flu-like symptoms and they would want it to be further investigated, they can come to any one of our medical facilities, and I'm sure the doctors there would be able to make that distinction and prescribe the relevant treatment.
So far, 412,801, or 80.5% of adults, have received the first dose of a COVID vaccine, while 298,089, or 58.1%, are fully vaccinated. For the 12 to 17 age group, a total of 30,701, or 42.1%, have received the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine, while 21,906, or 30%, have received both doses. Regarding booster doses, 14,175 persons have received their jabs. For the evening news, Amar Prasad.
The Regional Democratic Council of Region 6 is calling on health authorities in that region to act in a more responsible manner as it relates to adherence to the COVID-19 protocols. Our Berbice correspondent Andrew Carmichael reports that the RDC is being asked to do more to ensure that the health department follows the protocols it has been asking persons to follow.
Region 6, East Berbice quarantine has now recorded over 4,000 cases, and of yesterday, the death toll stood at 112. When the Regional Democratic Council met on Thursday, the issue of a lack of adherence to the outlined protocols was raised. Councillor Colin Moore said from what he has seen, he is of the opinion that enough is not being done to save lives in the region.
I passed here this morning and I observed that if you see the crowd there, there's no supervision. And we can't say to this region that we're taking COVID-19 seriously or we're taking their lives seriously when we have a set of people pack up right at the COVID center in New Amsterdam there at the hospital, doing testing, plus the same people are sick. It's in the same building. What are we doing? There are doctors who have COVID-19. People are dying, and I feel that we are not doing enough to save lives in this region.
Moore called on the RDC to do everything it can to flatten the curve, noting that currently nothing is being done. He said the RDC should not just be a talk shop, but an action center.
And not to talk about the large gathering that is still being tolerated because of some political something. There are huge weddings every day, every Saturday and Sunday you can go out through the quarantine. And I think it's tolerated. Some of the police will go there and then they leave as if nothing happened. And I'm saying to the RDC, we have the authority to ensure, we have a duty to ensure that we protect the citizens of this region. And if we can't do that, then who is going to do it? All right? And so I'm asking for us to take this very seriously and not just come in here and talk, and then you walk through the door, it's the same 6 and 4.
Meanwhile, Councillor Doreen Anamantudu Alpine says residents should utilize the services at health centers in a bid to reduce crowding at hospitals in the region.
So patients could go to the health centers now because the doctor is there once a week, so they could have treatment at health centers. And this had been started since last year, but now it's up and running for the new year. Another thing is that we're also having dental clinics, not at all sites, but some of the health centers.
For the evening news, Andrew Carmichael.
4 more persons who were infected with the novel coronavirus have died, taking the country's death toll to 1064. The latest fatalities are a 42-year-old man from Region 4 who was partially vaccinated, a 47-year-old man from Region 6 who was fully vaccinated, and a 62-year-old man from Region 2 who was unvaccinated, as well as a 48-year-old woman from Region 4 who was fully vaccinated. Meanwhile, the country has recorded 967 new cases today, taking the total positives detected to date to 42,385. There are 6 persons in the ICU, 75 in institutional isolation, and 3,374 in home isolation. Recovery stand at 37,866. And now for a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Friday, January 7 at 9 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the Berbice River Bridge is scheduled to be closed on Friday, January 7 at 7 hours 35 for a period of 1.5 hours.
No exemptions, President Ali says, as government enforces ICC protocols for World Cup, and valuable Paul Hetmeyer lifts spirits in Guyana Harpy Eagles setup. Details of these stories and more in the Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp, coming up on the other side of the break.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Satco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store, located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rijnveld.
Get the right seal right now from Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc., your immediate SKF sealing solutions. The SKF Seal Jet Machine is capable of building seals from 5mm to 600mm in diameter in under 5 minutes. With technical support readily available, you can get a customized seal to suit virtually any industrial application, like buffer, rod, wiper, and piston seals. SKF Seal Jet Machine, now at Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc.
Welcome back to this evening's Sportcast, sponsored by MacCorp.
Do you want to save money and improve on your equipment's owning and operating costs? Then sign up for MacCorp Customer Service Agreement, CSA, and get 19% discount on all cat filters required to do your yearly maintenance. Reduce downtime with our oil sampling analysis. Manage your equipment's performance and get expert advice from our Caterpillar certified professionals. All of these and more are being offered once you sign up for a maintenance agreement. Visit us at 26 Providence or call us on 265-7315. Great productivity means great profit. MacCorp CAT. Let's do the work.